everyone, welcome to the 9th episode of Genre Equality. This is Hitzer.
I'm Hardy.
And I'm Isa.
This month, there is a dearth of quality cinema. There really isn't much out on Netflix or Hulu or the cinemas at all, but as with every month, there's always a lot of TV to talk about.
Yes, yes there is.
And just for your information, this month we'll have a special guest. Shafique from the Last King podcast. We'll be talking about some tie-in issues, which is our new segment where we talk about the controversies surrounding the genre properties that we love. We'll be talking about Disney Fox this month, and we'll be talking about toxic fandom, which is a prevalent, nearly omnipresent topic that we've kind of talked about nearly every month now. So tune in for that around the midway point of this episode. But we'll kick it off with probably, I guess, the biggest TV show out over the last couple of months.
Biggest?
Just by virtue of it being in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Oh, okay.
So based on Marvel Comics' original Runaways, not to be confused with the other Runaways, Cloak Dagger is the latest TV series set in the MCU. Expanding beyond ABC, Netflix and Hulu, this series airs on Freeform and is to me, I think, the most consistently compelling MCU show outside of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
I agree.
And The Punisher.
Yeah.
This show is what I wanted Hulu's Runaways to be. And for the record, I liked The Runaways quite a bit, but I was still disappointed because I expected more.
And also they didn't run away lah.
They did the last 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I thought it was a clever twist on your origin story. It's elevated by two very, very good teen actors in Olivia Holt and Aubrey Joseph. Who helped make these characters sort of internal struggles very grounded and relatable and visceral. Plus, that's all juxtaposed with this overarching Roxanne storyline and the show's surprisingly brave and mature external themes of racism, police brutality, and homelessness. It's all presented in a very adult manner in ways that are more sophisticated than you expect from a young adult drama. So what do you think about it, Hardy?
Overall, I agree with everything that you said. Again, those two the actors for Cloak and Dagger were great lah. I'm really impressed by the Roxanne CEO, Peter Scarborough. Even though he didn't really feature much lah. But just the idea of a slimy piece of shit CEO, right?
And they all.
But I mean this, especially Roxanne CEO, right? Roxanne is such a villainous company in the MCU. To finally see them in the forefront of some of a DC.
From Iron Man to Agent Carter to here, I mean they're all over the MCU.
But like it's very minor parts. Like this, they play a bigger role in
the main villain.
The main villain lah. So it's quite nice to actually see one of the villainous companies. Another villainous company from the Marvel.
So many. Are there any good companies?
I mean, I guess Stark Industries. But even then, they also. But anyway, apart from that, this was actually quite easy to get through. The difference, I in terms of quality, I find it a lot better than Runaways. Even though, like you said, we enjoyed Runaways.
I like in terms of production value,
script? Acting, production,
pacing,
the
writing, acting,
nearly on every level lah. So interestingly, these were the mentors of the Runaways lah, and to actually see them a bit of a different origin than the comics.
Slight twist. Where now it's the black guy who's rich, and it's the white girl who's poor, living in an abandoned house or church.
I guess that still works lah. It doesn't matter who was the poor one or who was the rich one lah. The storyline is still there, and I kind of like this budding love story thing lah. Overall, I enjoyed myself, and I will recommend it lah.
I did think that Olivia Holt's character, the way that she treated her initial boyfriend was pretty fucked up.
A bit lah,
so it was hard for me to get into the love story because I felt so bad for the original guy.
I get
the
that.
one that she left in prison. Then he stole everything for her, and then she just abandoned him. I thought that was pretty fucked up. I did also think that the finale is where the show kind of falls apart for me. In reverse to the Runaways, where in the finale everything came together. The last episode was the weakest of the bunch because it just started to combine all the corniest and worst aspects of the show into this one giant shit show. Gone is the great acting, dialogue, teen drama. It becomes a standard superhero show where they fight that giant glowing thing in the sky. It's the standard thing. And when they are both using powers to fight zombies and find a MacGuffin, it just becomes standard superhero stuff. And and all the stuff that I liked about from the previous episodes totally disappeared. I do have to shout out that I really enjoyed its New Orleans setting.
Yeah.
It offered some very hyper-specific local traditions to play around with, landmarks, culture, colorful backdrops, the voodoo stuff, and all of that. It added some color to the proceedings that is... let's just say it's always refreshing to step outside New York City.
Yeah. I mean, sure. it gave me a bit of a callback to series like True Blood,
Oh, I was going to say Treme.
Treme also, yes.
Yeah.
But I mean something closer to sci-fi lah.
Sure, yeah. Because True Blood wasn't set in New Orleans.
It's in the south lah.
Louisiana. Yeah.
Louisiana.
Yeah.
But same lah.
No, I only learned about all these traditions like, the Black Red Indians, for example, and all that. I only learned about them on Treme.
Treme, yeah.
And all the little cultures and the mythology that they've woven through has been talked about on Treme as well. Obviously, clearly, this is not anywhere near the level of a David Simon show.
No way.
Clearly, this is nowhere near the YO, despite the police brutality and everything.
Yeah. But got glimpses.
Yes, it's elevated for MCU.
Yes.
At least on the TV format.
I agree.
In the end, I still will only rate this 7 out of 10.
Around there, yeah.
Yeah. It would have been an 8 if not for the finale.
Yeah. The finale kind of kicked in the butt.
Okay. Really kicked it in the butt. Yeah. I'm still intrigued to see season 2.
Me too.
But the finale was just...
They could have done better.
Yeah.
Yeah, the quality for the first 9 episodes was...
pretty stellar.
Yeah.
They just fell on the landing. Like when you watch like a great gymnastics routine, and then the last one they fall down, I'm like, oh shit, come on. No, this is really a broken leg.
Yeah, it's not really also a broken leg.
Broken leg.
Yeah.
I mean, not irreparable. It's not like a broken spine or anything.
Yeah.
But
can come back next year.
Can come back next year. Yeah. Go for surgery, rehab, and shit. Yep. Next one will be jumping into a very, very short series. Something that actually isn't available in America.
Yeah.
But if you know where to find it,
you can find it.
I mean, I'm not gonna advocate for
anything.
Piracy or anything, but there are ways to watch this.
Yeah.
It's a New Zealand show called Wellington Paranormal, and if that sounds familiar, it is spun off from What We Do in the Shadows, the famous Taika Waititi mockumentary.
Yeah.
This particular show is run by Jermaine Clement of Legion and Flight of the Conchords fame. And also Coco Solid. And it's a new horror comedy that follows the same hapless police officers we met in the said Taika Waititi mockumentary.
Yeah.
They get recruited into this new paranormal unit in the Wellington Police Department, and think about it as like Cops meets the X-Files, done in kind of the dry, understated humor of Flight of the Conchords. The show is just like delightful because it takes the piss out of everything. Like, Isa Fong caught this.
Yes.
So what do you think about this?
Well, being as short as it was, right? And every episode was like 20 minutes long.
20 minutes and only 6 episodes.
Yeah. It was a very easy binge, right?
Super easy,
I just think like the treatment even made it even more so. So I found it extremely, how do I put this? It was easy to watch, easy to get into, and it passed really quickly. Like before I knew it, like 6 episodes were up. But at the same time, it's good for a light laugh or two, right? And just the way they treat all the tropes and all of that, and in that very telling Taika Waititi style as well, was entirely enjoyable. I did find that sometimes the pacing kind of like fell off in terms of the delivery of the content. Like between like some of the very cheap jump scares, which are used to great effect sometimes, but other times not so much, and just the straight-faced jokes. I don't know if it's like a cultural thing or maybe something that I didn't quite get.
I think it's just a Kiwi thing.
Yeah, it could.
Because Flight of the Conchords and all the Taika Waititi stuff I've ever seen is all like that.
I do feel like some of them didn't land as much as I wanted them to. For me personally. But yeah, overall I definitely enjoyed it. I think like if you are a big Taika Waititi fan, with what he's done with Thor or what he's done with What We Do in the Shadows, which is a great movie. I think that anyone who's a fan should definitely watch it. And if you're if you want like a satirical, very off-kilter kind of straight-faced look at what genre stuff is today, it's a great series.
It's gonna take up slightly over 2 hours of your life, and it's quite delightful, especially if you compare it to these other shows, let's say Iron Fist, which we have to bear through next month, which is gonna take up 13 plus hours of your life. This is a very easy binge and has packed some punch for the small amount of content that it is.
Yeah. I mean, like, I think that your the time investment that you put in will definitely be rewarded with quite a number of like good laughs and it's an all-round feel-good thing despite the subject matter that they're dealing with.
Yeah, they're stupid. They're mocked for being stupid, but it's not done in a mean way.
Yeah.
So like whether they're handling like petty crimes or battling werewolves or aliens or zombies or poltergeists or demons from hell, these guys have like no clue what they're doing and therein lies the fun. It's just funny but really restrained, goofy humor.
Yes.
It falls flat in some parts and isn't as consistent as I would like it to be.
Yeah.
Sure. But it retains the charm of its source material. So I think I would rate this at about an 8 out of 10 just because it's such an easy watch.
I'm gonna give it like a 7 upon 10 for me. I do feel that it could be again. I think it might be just a Kiwi thing or maybe a Taikai or a TT thing. But like some of them, I really wanted there to be a lot bigger laughs and a lot more consistent across the board. Yeah. Some of the jokes just kind of fell flat, and those moments I was like, oh, okay, right. But when it's good, it's really good.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's definitely above average, so a 7 upon 10 for me.
By the way, right, I was watching. I mean, if you try to find clips of Wellington Paranormal online, I came across a New Zealand cop show. Some like a lot like cops, and then they posted up like one segment. It's just 5 minutes of these two cops, very much like the cops in here, asking this drug addict outside, do you have any weapons in your bag or anything that can harm us? Then he says no, and then they have like a jump cut to them like taking out like 36 knives from his bag, like one by one, and it's just like it's just 4 minutes of them pulling out knife after knife after knife after
like different kind of knives,
like different kind of knives, and like the jump cut to that really feels like Brooklyn Nine-Nine. It's pretty amazing. I forgot what the New Zealand cop show is, but you can just Google New Zealand cops and you'll definitely find it. It's really funny.
Okay.
Next we'll be moving on to something like I talked about very briefly on Quick Hits maybe 3 or 4 episodes ago.
Yep.
It's an alternate reality spy espionage kind of show called Counterpart, starring J.K. Simmons. It was a really underrated hidden gem on Stars maybe earlier this January or February. I particularly loved it, and I asked Isa Feng and Redon Hardy, your full name, Shay, to catch up on this over the last couple of months, and they finally have. So we're gonna do kind of a revisit review, this time from a different point of view. So what do you guys think of J.K. Simmons' Counterpart?
Jesus Christ, this was a great series.
I'm very glad that we took the time out to kind of
I can't believe I took so long to watch it.
It's an excellent thing. Maybe one of the best pieces of TV we've seen this year.
I think you described it the best though. You described it as the Americans with a sci-fi element, right?
Yeah, like if Russia was an alternate dimension, which it kind of is actually, in 1980s Russia, this would be your show.
Perfect, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, okay, J.K. Simmons.
Perfect, right?
Oh, amazing actor.
Like, you could actually tell the difference between Howard Prime and Howard Alpha.
Yeah, but like it's nuanced in a way that Tatiana Maslany's performance wasn't, because the characters were so different.
Yes.
But this one, they both were of the same person,
Because they had the same initial timeline.
Up until 30 years ago.
Yeah.
So they have to have at least some similar traits.
Yeah. But you could tell, like, it was so subtle, but also like, hey, that is definitely Prime.
Yeah.
Or that's definitely Alpha. You could tell immediately.
Yeah. And after a while, you start to kind of realize, I think with a lot of, again, like, Tatiana Maslany is great. Right, but just because they make the differentiation so obvious, it's not much of a challenge, right? There are just these moments, especially with Howard Prime acting as Howard Alpha, where he just kind of like throws himself into the thing and he allows himself to soften just so that he can fulfill that particular role of what Alpha is like, right? Sometimes it's difficult, know, and so much of the time there's like a change in gait with both characters that is immediate and that's telling, and you see flashes of Prime and Alpha and flashes of Alpha and Prime,
but they're essentially the same people
which is phenomenal, and just like at the end of the season you start to question whether or not they're that different in the first place, which is kind of a running theme for all the characters involved, right? Great episode, great acting, art direction is amazing and on point, music is great as well.
I think another standout character would be Viserys. Viserys Targaryen.
Yeah, he was great. He plays like the sort of the espionage
Swami
sort of
management,
the head, middle management, the espionage agency that's in charge of handling basically diplomatic relations between these two alternate dimensions. And if you've listened to our previous podcast, you probably already know the basic premise of this. It's kind of basically 30 years ago the world was split into two. It's kept
due to an experiment.
Due to experiment, we don't know what it is. It's kept a secret, and basically they're just dealing with trade, political, diplomatic, and espionage relations between our two worlds, which diverge slightly but have some very very big differences as well.
There's like, I mean, spoiler alert there's things like a plague in one of them. Where it wiped out a bunch of people, you know, and therefore there's certain behaviors in that world that's very vastly different from our world, which didn't suffer from that.
Technology is slightly different.
Or like little things where, like, you know, the smartphones, like the iPhones and stuff, have come out in that world.
So in the other world, it's like they're using like transparent like blocks. Instead, so which one's our world actually?
Our world is probably
Prime, right?
Prime lah.
The one without the plague.
Without the plague lah.
There are some really really cool twists with his wife as well. Howard's wife.
Yeah, man.
That I didn't see coming.
Same.
I didn't know who the mole was from the other world as well.
Oh, the mole review was great.
Yeah.
The mole review was great.
And then the agenda as well is fucking cool.
Yeah.
And also the way that it's so grounded, like it's not like they're planning an invasion or something. You know? Like the attack was really very grounded. It was a shooting. It felt reminiscent of real life mass shootings, you know, in an office building and stuff like that.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That was actually quite intense few minutes lah.
So I mean the whole thing is similarly grounded, and I like the emphasis on spy crafts.
Yes.
Yeah. It's not just jumping out of planes and buildings and stuff.
Not Mission Impossible lah.
Not Mission Impossible or James Bond or even Jason Bourne. It's very grounded spy crafts. The Americans, exactly.
It's the perfect way. You described it perfectly that time.
I feel like it's a lot closer to Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy than it is to Mission Impossible.
Though I didn't really like that movie, but yes.
The old school spycraft, I love that. Really, really good.
Highly recommend this though.
Highly recommend this. I mean, like all around, right? Even the supporting cast is amazing. I especially, J.K. Simmons aside, I love Baldwin.
Baldwin,
Nadia, right?
Nadia's character. I think that's really, really interesting because it provides us another look at where a character diverges, and even though she only meets her not shadow.
Mirror double.
Her counterpart.
Her counterpart.
The name of the
show, damn it.
Everyone drink. I feel like that's been a great thing, especially when she gets caught out by her counterpart's ex-lover. You know, that was one of the scenes I was just like, oh man, there's quite a bit going on there that you get to sit down and kind of unpack amidst all these like plot points that are kind of moving forward at a breakneck speed.
Sometimes when you see stuff like, say for example, Crisis on Earth X or the Supergirl Flash stuff, you know, stuff like that where you have to do battle with your counterpart from a parallel dimension, there isn't kind of an emotional weight there.
No.
Especially when there are moments where, for example, Nadia is tasked with murdering her counterpart. And there is an emotional difficulty to that. Although she is an assassin, you are literally murdering yourself, a version of yourself, up until like just a few years ago. There is a weight to that I haven't felt honestly since Rick and Morty.
As
in when he refers to the guy he buried.
That's fantastic. I rated this like a 9 out of 10 or 10 out of 10 very very highly
mine's about 9.5. It's a near perfect series.
It's the exact same for me.
I mean it's J.K. Simmons carries it really well, but he also has the advantage of having a really strong supporting cast.
He does. But the script in and of itself is amazing.
For sure,
the word choice and all of that, very well designed, very detailed in terms of
the detailness.
You know, there especially I think with a lot of scenes between Prime and Alpha, Howard Prime and Howard Alpha, where you see that specific word choice that they use, right, where the word means the same thing. But at the same time, the nuance in terms of why they chose to use a particular word over another word, that kind of like, I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but I remember being caught out by a lot of those moments where they're talking about, are you me? Do you remember this in our shared past? And how did that change you? Like, a lot of those things play out in a way that, like, other shows that have clones or counterparts have not.
I think it's the most like elegant exploration of nature versus nurture I've seen on television.
For sure.
Like I'm still very curious on how Howard Silk became Howard Silk. Like in both of them, you know?
For sure.
And you gain sympathy for. I mean, you see the differences. Like one has a daughter, one has a miscarriage. You know, and then you're like, wow, this is like, and how different their lives were, how interesting they interwoven both Prime and Alpha by the end of it.
Yeah. So it's like the small little ripples that became larger ripples as time passes.
There is a season 2, right?
There is a season 2, definitely. It ended on sort of a cliffhanger.
A cliffhanger,
Yeah, so there will definitely be a season 2. J.K. Simmons is signed on. It will be around the middle of next year, around summer.
Nice.
So we have a little bit to wait. But since I'm probably guessing 99.999% of you have not seen this because it's such a hidden gem. Yeah. And there hasn't been much buzz on it online either.
Why?
Yeah, why? Like things like this and The Terror, like I really push very hard because I think those are two of the best genre shows I've seen this year.
They should be Emmy nominated.
The Terror wasn't.
Exactly.
Counterpart isn't. J.K. Simmons at least, right?
Yeah, at very least.
Can we please?
At very least.
God damn it.
Yeah, maybe it'll be like Tatiana Maslany, like only season 4 he'll get nominated.
Stupid Emmys. Okay, anyway.
Yeah. Let's move on to a little Netflix show. That Hardy and Isa actually put me onto. It's a silly, goofy comedy called Final Space.
Yeah,
it's an animated series revolving around a stupid astronaut named Gary who is imprisoned and befriends a strange alien creature called Mooncake. The origins of the alien makes it very valuable to a number of, let's say, interested parties around the universe, which embroils them in an unintended intergalactic war that threatens the survival of Earth and mankind. So, I mean, since you guys turned me on to this, what do you guys think of the show?
Okay,
It's on Netflix, by the way.
Yeah, it's on Netflix. Yeah. I had a lot of fun with this show. First of all, it's easy watch. But it's not as smart lah, you know? And a lot of people actually have very differing opinions from mine where they actually find the main character fucking annoying.
Yeah, he's super annoying.
He is though, but that's
the point.
He's written to be annoying.
Exactly, you know.
We who watch wrestling realize that that's who he is supposed to be lah. And I can enjoy him being a heel.
I just feel certain emotional moments were not earned. Certain points of the series where someone dies,
right?
And that
as in the series didn't
earn it yet. You know,
right.
It was a bit too quick or sudden. I hadn't really fully fallen in love with that character yet.
Yeah.
But then they made it seem like as if it's such a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, even though
the amount of time that has passed.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's the fault of kind of the plot, the storytelling device that they use, right? Where every episode they kind of it's a minute has passed and all of this is in a flashback.
Yeah.
Right. It kind of condenses all these episodes that we are watching into it always reminds you, right, that this is a flashback and very much a lot has passed, but you're only seeing a segment of it.
Correct.
You know, but I do agree with you, and I feel like there's something that's very intentional with that because the jokes function the same way. A lot of the jokes do not work hard enough for the payoff that supposedly plays out, right? But to me, I'm just really? Okay. You know, it does have its moments where it's genuinely funny. A quip can turn the entire scene on its head. But there are many jokes that don't land, and many of them are written that way, at least in my opinion. Yeah.
So they're not supposed to land, you're saying?
Yeah, they're not supposed to land. I mean, they just keep throwing things out at you, right? Very much like another animation on Netflix that we're going to talk about a bit later. Yeah. I feel like for Final Space, this was a lot more intentional.
Yeah.
And it served its purpose.
It did.
Overall.
In terms of the humor, I agree with you with that.
Yeah. I thought the constant barrage of witless and honestly utterly unfunny jokes it's really painful at first until the emotional core of the series reveals itself to be a very good sci-fi show. What it lacks for in humor, it makes up with really good adventure, good action, surprisingly potent drama, and kind of beautifully crafted character arcs, which is unusual. A lot of people have put forth the Futurama reference. It is a dumber version of Futurama, but it is a darker version of Futurama.
It is
daring to go to narrative places that most of these shows would never ever go. And they go to these places in the 4th episode, in the 6th episode, in the last episode, within the first season. They have totally, utterly, literally destroyed the world. And I've never seen a show that's just willing to go to those narrative places so quickly.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. How would you guys rate this?
I actually give it a 7.5.
Okay.
I really enjoyed it. Easy watch. And I really like Mooncake.
Oh yeah.
Alright. The relationship between Gary and with what's her name?
Mooncake?
No, the
girl. The bounty hunter girl.
The bounty hunter.
We know who he is.
Yeah.
That was interesting, like how he developed, like how he had like video logs, for the 5 years that she never. And how her future self had actually fallen in love with him.
Legitimately.
While the, So that kind of thing. Overall, I loved how the series went. I just didn't like, spoiler alert, the death of like Avocado.
Avocado.
Yeah. I felt that was that something was missing in that death.
Yeah. I'm actually very curious as to why they did it, because it felt really out of place. Like they didn't plan for that to happen, right? But anyways, I definitely feel. I mean, it's a 7.5 upon 10 for me as well.
Cool.
I do feel that putting up with the first 2 episodes and just how unfunny some things are is worth it. But at the same time, it's something that you have to kind of like grunt through lah.
It's a 7 out of 10 for me as well. So about the same as you guys, maybe slightly lower. I need the first 2 episodes were really quite bad lah. So I push forward. If not for recommendations, I wouldn't have pushed forward lah. It seems like a lot of people on my newsfeed were really into this.
Yeah.
And it turned out to be like, I think, worth it.
I think a lot of the I pushed it up quite a bit because the animation and production value is extremely high.
Yeah, it was.
Just like the way that they treated the lighting and the way that the backgrounds are rendered and all of that.
Or even how the physics in the world work.
It was very, very impressive for an animation of its type. Like, we didn't get that with Futurama, right? And there was a lot of thought and a lot of detail in the background, while some very like unfunny things were happening in the foreground. And sometimes I just find myself drifting to these details. So I bumped it up just a bit more, just because the production value was great and surprising at that for an animation of its kind.
I'm down with that.
I guess just in the age of like modern adult animation, when you have like stuff like
Rick and Morty,
BoJack Horseman, The Venture Brothers, and a bunch of other stuff, Archer and all of that. This might be a lot lower on that list. Because
sure.
The bar has been set so high by those aforementioned shows. But at the same time, if you want a quick something to watch over dinner, something like, after the end of the day, you don't want to strain your brain too hard,
this is the one.
This is the show for you. And now we're gonna jump into our new segment called Tie-In Issues. I really, really love that name. I know I came out of it and I'm patting myself on the back, but I really love that name. If you recall, if we posted on our genre equality page a few weeks ago, a month and a half ago maybe, I guested on the Last King podcast, which is a fellow Singaporean podcast. They talk about pop culture, gaming, stuff like that, along the same sensibilities as us. And I talked about my favorite TV shows of the year, and I talked about my favorite movies of the year. You can go to Genre Equality on SoundCloud, on Google Play, or on iTunes. Find it. Look for the ones where my face is the thumbnail.
You mean The Last Kings?
The Last Kings. Correct.
You said Genre Equality.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, The Last Kings are Google Play and iTunes and SoundCloud and stuff like that.
We're only on Mixcloud.
Yeah, we're only on Mixcloud.
Exclusive deal.
Exclusively. Maybe we'll expand one day. But I've returned the favor, so Shafique is gonna guest on our show this month, where we'll be talking about the recently completed Disney Fox deal, whether it's a good or whether it's a bad thing. We'll also be talking a little bit about toxic fandom, where I rant a little bit. So I'm gonna turn it over to myself. Take it away, Hitzer. And thanks for throwing it to me, Hitzer. I'm Hitzer, on location at Shafique's house from the Last King podcast. Say hi.
Thank you for doing my shoutouts for me. Yes, this is Shafique of the legendary Last King podcast, available on SoundCloud, iTunes, and now Google Podcasts. I should get on that, man.
You should get on that. It's actually pretty easy to get on Google Podcasts. All you need to do is ask.
Really?
Actually, literally, all I said was like, hey, here's my RSS feed. Can I be on Google Podcasts? Oh, you're already on it.
Well, we'll look out for that.
So please search Last King.
You're available on Facebook and Twitter as well?
We're on the Facebooks, we're on the Twitters. All the social media needs for all your social media needs?
Okay.
Beads? Seeds? I don't know. Yes, our unique brand of comedy is perplexing.
Nice. If you recall, a month and a half ago, it's a little over a month ago, I actually guessed it on the Last podcast.
According to this timeline, right?
According to this timeline.
We haven't retconned the podcast industry in Singapore yet. So yes.
A month and a half ago, I was on the Last King for a couple of episodes.
Thank you very much for filling in a spot.
You can find it on the Last King SoundCloud as well. We talked about the best TV shows of the year far. And
please don't listen to Takashi69. Listen to the Last King podcast on SoundCloud. We're about to blow up, son.
Yeah. About to be presented by Squarespace and Blue Apron and stuff like that.
Soon. We're looking forward to when we get to sell out.
Exactly. So as a return of the favor, I'm inviting Shafique over to our podcast to talk about various issues surrounding genre.
And thank you for inviting me back and having me host it again.
Yeah.
In my location. You have a very tight budget. Huh?
We don't have a centralized location, and you live so near me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And for all you Last King fans out there, yes, I took time off the space station to come back to Singapore, to Tampines in general.
Are you breaking your own kayfabe now?
You know what? Yeah, I'm gonna. It's a shoot. It's all the way. Yeah, I'm out of character just for genre equality. Definitely.
Oh gosh. As you recall from last month's podcast, we introduced a new segment called Tie-In Issues, where we discuss the issues surrounding our favorite genre properties.
You guys and your segments, man. You're almost like a legit show now, huh? I'm looking forward to the day when you have on the scene correspondence and stuff. You have a John Oliver that you're sending to the far-flung reaches of Hollywood, covering the red carpet events.
Hopefully one day. Hopefully it's not just myself and then I'm
That's the dream, right?
Yeah.
You know what my dream is? Yeah. I want to be that asshole on a press junket asking Tom Hardy the annoying questions.
Right, yeah.
He's seriously trying to do his thing and promote his movie. Mm-hmm. And I'm so where would you rate your best Tom Hardy performances? Where would Bane be?
Locke is his best performance in my opinion.
You think?
Yeah.
Nah, Bronson, sir.
Very good choice
Bronson,
as well.
Just for the scene of him lathering himself up in butter to fight all those prison guards is I can watch that all the. No, wait, I take that back. Just for the scene of him reacting to Pet Shop Boys, It's a Sin. Woo. that man has a career, sir.
Yes, and Venom might just destroy it. Speaking of Venom, who is in the Marvel Universe, we'll be talking about the Disney's recent acquisition of Fox, which obviously has been in the works for several years, or a year now. Comcast tried to outbid them with $60 billion, which was a very smart move because it forced Disney to up its bid to $65 billion, wasting $5 extra billion.
Wasting? No, sir. I mean, they had it in their pockets already.
They're rich.
We're talking Disney dollars.
They're rich AF.
Oh wait, can I curse on this show?
Yeah, sure. Go for
Fuck! Disney!
And recently, finally, after the shareholders have approved it, the Department of Justice has approved it. It's official now.
Which is that's the one thing that kind of blew my mind when it's the Department of Justice got involved.
Because it's a monopoly, you see. So
exactly.
They have to see whether it violates trade regulations. It's the same thing with the AT&T Time Warner merger, which took 24 months, but with Disney, it took 2 weeks for it to be approved. So it's mind-blowing how quickly they got that done.
Well, you can pull $5 billion out of your pocket, sir.
That's true.
I'm pretty sure you can write a different check.
But there's also the point to be made that AT&T and Time Warner set the precedent, which made this easier.
I would say no. I would say actually the original antitrust issues was when Microsoft was the monopoly.
That's true. No, I mean in the entertainment industry.
This has been. I mean in the media distribution industry.
Yeah. Because
in a way, I'm okay. Let's just set the precedent right now. Mm-hmm. I'm not totally for it.
Sure.
Despite what all the geeks and all the fans are clamoring, we need to get X-Men back to Marvel's hands, back home. And it's but we cannot have one entity with so much creative power and influence over so many IPs.
Yeah.
And also, I think one thing I really wanted to kind of discuss and have a conversation with you with is basically okay, worst case scenario, if they have all of this in their grasp, mm-hmm. and we're still kind of hoping, ever since Disney bought Lucasfilm, and everybody was you know what? Finally, we can have the unedited trilogy back.
Right.
Where is it?
Yeah, where is it?
What's taking so long? Mm-hmm. And then, you also have to understand that Disney is, also kind of, they're also a little bit stingy with their own releases. Mm-hmm.
They schedule it and calendar it very wisely.
I mean, not just that.
Conservatively.
I mean, let's talk about what the Empire is built on, which is all the princess stuff.
Sure.
It's we can't get a DVD of Snow White because it's back in the vault, right?
Yes, and also because Disney will be launching their streaming service, and that's probably where you're going to get it.
And the thing is, right, if you have a streaming service and you have all these IPs, mm-hmm. it's okay, it kind of blows my mind to think now that, Disney owns Futurama too.
Yeah.
It's like, okay. Oh wait, they own the Alien franchise now too?
Predator.
They own Predator?
Yeah.
So like, yeah, I mean, you all can understand why I'm taking this with a huge tablespoonful of salt here.
It goes way beyond comic books, I guess, in my opinion. If you look at the box office takings for 2018 so far, Disney and Fox account for 63% of the entire box office takings, which means that going to 2019 when the deal is official, they own 63% of the market share.
Which is more than half, which is extremely dangerous, I feel.
Which is crazy. They own a controlling share in Hulu as well, which is obviously part of Fox. So there is a worry what's going to happen to Hulu, which will probably be appropriate into the streaming service. What's going to happen to studios like Fox Searchlight or studios like FX, which is making groundbreaking television. But with Disney Fox, there's going to be a lot of issues, specifically with their genre properties. Yeah. I know there's a lot of excitement about X-Men versus Avengers, Fantastic Four coming home. There's a bunch of people sounding like England fans. Right now, it's coming home.
Yeah, that's annoying.
But
look what happened in the World Cup.
Look what happened in the World Cup. Exactly.
Nothing went home.
So what are the potential downsides to a deal like this, in your opinion?
In my opinion, well, first, number one is I don't like the idea. Okay, I don't like the fact that one company has so much controlling stake over a lot of IPs.
Why is that? Elaborate.
To elaborate, it would basically be like, okay, we're only paying one person to see all these things.
Bob Iger.
Yeah, and in essence, that means they can charge whatever they want.
Mm-hmm.
Because like, okay, imagine this: we have the Disney streaming service, and like, okay, the obvious competitor would probably be Netflix.
Sure.
And Netflix is doing their darndest to try and keep themselves afloat by, like, putting anything out.
Yeah.
Hashtag Cloverfield Paradox.
But they also put out Annihilation, so.
Which did shit, huh? It ate shit, but it's such a good movie.
Yeah.
Okay, definitely one of my top picks for the year. But I would say this is like, if you have all the water, you can charge the people whatever you want for it.
Yes.
And they need the water.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And also another thing is like, then other people will have problems competing.
100%. Warner Brothers, Sony.
Yeah, and then the thing is, right, if they're like, imagine this, like you have like you got 5 cows giving you good milk.
Okay.
You bought another 5 cows. You have 10 cows.
Yeah.
Then that allows you to profit more, and you can now get 20 cows.
Yeah.
Eventually, you own all the cows.
Man, it's an amazing farming analogy there, but yes, that's
there you
true.
go. Yeah, I'm keeping it kampong style here for a while.
Right.
No,
yeah.
But what I'm saying is this right? Like this allows Disney to accrue more money, and eventually there'll be like this gigantic gelatinous blob just swallowing everything up. And
almost a country or a state within itself.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And also at the same time, it's like one of the major problems I see with this, and like probably is the recent events with James Gunn,
which we discussed in the last episode as well. But I would like to get.
I want to bring this up. Like, okay, what they did was bullshit.
It was 100% bullshit. Yeah,
it's like nobody should lose their jobs based on a bad tweet.
A bad joke. I mean, as distasteful as it is, which I have to say it was very distasteful, but it's just so overreactionary. The major issue with the James Gunn was this wasn't something that was unearthed. He already apologized for it. He had a conversation before Guardians of the Galaxy 1 with Glad, where he addressed how he has grown as a person.
And this is something that happened like 10 years ago, right? It wasn't something that he said recently. No. Somebody decided to just dig this up and like make it a big deal.
Yeah, and the idea that a company like Disney can get played by an alt-right troll and their decision stands. And to be clear, this wasn't Kevin Feige's decision. In fact, Marvel and Guardians of the Galaxy, the entire cast and crew, and Kevin Feige himself.
Shout outs to Batista for coming up to defend this guy.
Going for it, Batista is a guy who has shat on Vince McMahon while he was working for WWE. So I know he has balls.
I don't think he's the kind of guy you want to pick a fight with.
Yeah, precisely. And shout out to the entire guys at Marvel who are actually backing James Gunn despite their corporate overlords saying no. But the problem is that the corporate overlords are the overlords and they have the final say, and James Gunn is not coming back. And with Disney owning 60% share of the entire industry, I mean, James Gunn cannot make what he made in Disney elsewhere.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and also, I mean, talking on the topic of jobs, think about how many people are losing.
I think that's one of the things. Like, one of the things that annoy me the most is basically all the online fervor about how like all these franchises are finally coming home, or like finally we can have a decent X-Men movie. Like, okay, that's far beyond the point. Like, whenever we have mergers like this, And it's like, when one company swallows another company, they're not gonna hire all the guys at the studios. We don't need your cameraman. We don't need your lighting guys. We don't need your editors. We have our own. People are gonna lose their jobs over this. And there's like, I mean, I understand, like, if I want to be super cynical and take the business aspect of it all, this is a very clever move. I can see how the empire gets larger. You can actually, finally the Disney castle can be made of stone instead of plastic.
Sure. Yeah.
It's a real castle now.
That is true. But I mean, when we are busy getting excited or throwing shade or whatever, like, we're always fighting online about fucking make-believe pretend shit. But there are real world
Iron Man isn't real.
But there are like real world consequences to moves like this. Like thousands of people are going to be losing their jobs, their livelihoods. And as Disney continues to grow, because I don't think this is going to be their last acquisition.
No, definitely not.
Yeah, they're only going to be swallowing up more jobs.
We have like, this is a company that makes like $1 billion per movie.
Right. Yeah.
Which is like,
crazy, right?
As much as I give props to where props is due, is like, yeah, you're doing your thing, but also at the same time, like, oh wow, I mean you can just look to Google and like remember their original motto: let's not be evil.
Right.
And look at them now.
Hey, you live long enough to see yourself become the villain, I guess.
Ooh, Batman reference.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess from a business standpoint, I can't really.
You can't fault them because I know shareholders, I know executives, I know the president somewhere. I need another yacht.
Sure,
I get it. Sure, yeah. I mean, like capitalism. Go ahead. Earn that money.
The entire point of a business is to make money,
exactly.
So to accuse them of trying to make too much money is a bit silly.
Yeah.
But yeah, do you think it would have been better if say Fox went to Comcast or something else?
I don't know, because like for me, it's ends justify the means. If somehow we do get better X-Men movies, then okay, I kind of win, but also at the same time, I can't help but be a little bit more I mean, I'm going to be very cynical about this, but okay, I'm going to just say this, right? Let's just say in the context of Marvel movies,
sure,
they haven't improved. Infinity War is the one gem, sorry, pun intended,
yeah,
amongst like all these very by the book, paint by numbers hero movies. And it's like now we're entering this kind of weird dimension where like, oh, if directors can get fired over a tweet, or if Edgar Wright isn't allowed to make his Ant-Man movie because it's a bit off-brand, you know what I mean? Like, Disney's the kind of company that obviously wants some sort of I wouldn't even say creative control, but it's like a creative stranglehold.
Yeah, specifically with the way MCU is run, Marvel.
Not just that, even Star Wars.
But Star Wars is more Kathleen Kennedy, who has been making outrightly bad decisions with her particular franchise.
True that, but then Rogue One happened too.
Yeah, but that's Kathleen Kennedy as well.
I like Rogue One.
Yeah, that's true, yeah. But Kathleen Kennedy has been outrightly antagonistic to both its fan base and its corporate overlord. So I think that's, with Star Wars in particular,
I think it's kind of weird because since the era of Steve Jobs, I don't think executives should ever meet the fans.
Right, yeah.
We should never, you don't give them Twitters.
Exactly.
Let them make business decisions. And the thing is, like, if fans are angry, let them shout it out into the ether.
Sure.
And hopefully somebody listens. Because, like, I can understand a person like Kathleen Kennedy.
Yeah.
Because it's like, there's nothing more toxic than geek culture when it comes to, like, being very angry for very silly reasons.
Like this pretend make-believe shit about Space Knights,
You're like, it's a movie. You don't need to, like,
be sending death threats or...
Why are you sending death threats to poor people who are just paid to play a role that, they may or may not be as passionate about as you are?
Exactly, yeah.
But also at the same time, like, Harrison Ford doesn't care about Han Solo.
Well, I mean, at least at this point in his career, for sure.
He didn't care about it then. He wanted to get killed off in the second movie, remember?
That is true.
That is true, yeah. He had ambitions of being an actor, sir.
Yes.
And, like, it eventually arrived for him, like, in the 90s. Like, thank God for Patriot Games and Clear and Present Danger.
Right, yeah.
And The Fugitive. I would say The Fugitive is what, started all of this. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm tangenting again.
Yeah.
But, like, okay, here's what I really want to address is the fact that, okay, Disney is the kind of company that will bend to the will of the trolls.
As a publicly traded company, it's in their best interest, I guess.
It is in their best interest, and the thing is, now I don't like the fact that movies nowadays are kind of conceived and sculpted by a fan base.
Sure.
Or, you know what I mean? Like,
or on the total opposite sides by people in a corporate boardroom.
Or even by people in a corporate boardroom. Because
it seems like the auteur has lost his voice.
Exactly. I mean, like, we have so few left. I mean, maybe Nolan's still around, Tarantino's still around, and maybe Villeneuve, maybe...
Yeah, guys like that, who are predominantly on the independent circuit at the moment.
And then we have all these, like, you know, jobber type working for rate directors. And, like, okay, like, I mean, I don't know, I'm just still pretty much upset about, like, I never got to see Edgar Wright's version of a Marvel movie.
Correct, yeah. And there are other things as well, like specifically with superheroes, I guess, is stuff on FX. Like, for example, Donald Glover's Deadpool TV series was pulled because of Marvel. Because I guess the particular jokes or the particular tone that he wanted to strike was not family friendly enough for Disney.
I think because it's also like American culture, because they don't. I mean, like, unlike some places like in the UK where they have like a watershed hour where like okay, after 10 p.m. you know,
right,
tits on screen. No,
right.
but
FX is known for pushing the edge with that. A lot of FX programming.
They're a cable like station, right? They're not really network TV.
No, they're cable for sure. But FX is owned by Fox, you see. And with the Disney deal looming, FX was high on the Deadpool deal. They wanted Donald Glover's Deadpool show. They were super happy with it, and Donald Glover was happy with it, but it was pulled because Marvel, or specifically Disney, wasn't happy with how family friendly it was. So the issue, I guess,
which is okay, another thing I want to bring up is like, Disney doesn't know what they have in their hands, because it's like, for them to not realize that, no, that's what Deadpool's about.
That's what makes it special, you see. Yeah,
that's what makes Deadpool.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, I don't know, there's a sense of like...
They want to homogenize their storytelling. So to speak.
I mean, which is very apparent in all the Marvel films, especially.
So, I mean, you can say what you want about the Fox movies, but the willingness to take risks is what can give disasters like Fantastic Four, or it can give rise to greatness like Logan.
Or the first Deadpool movie.
Or the first Deadpool movie, exactly. And if you're not willing to take risks like that, which I think Disney is not, then you can never get that big home run, which is something dramatically compelling. Like
I think that's basically what would drive this conversation, is the fact that Disney is not the kind of place that you would think of as a home for creativity anymore. It's more. It's definitely a for-profit business. Like, it's called the movie industry for a reason.
Industry,
but
yeah.
It's an industry. Yeah, the people want to get paid. People want to get paid more. Okay, like, I get it. Yeah, but also at the same time, it's I cannot imagine a movie like Logan ever happening under Disney. Under Disney 100%. At all, because
or Deadpool, yeah.
Because the thing is, like, okay, Disney immediately will be more like, okay, it has to be PG-13. We want a wide as fuck release. No, we can't limit, like, you know, the ticket sales.
How are you gonna make a Deadpool movie that is PG-13? It's not possible.
You can't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But also at the same time, it's like, they will try. And then what's gonna happen is, we're gonna get substandard movies. We're gonna get substandard stories. Or we're gonna get characters that totally miss the point. And, like, I mean, again, I mean, I don't want to harp on too much about just the comic book franchises.
Sure.
Because it's like, okay, that's only a small part that everybody seems to be kind of blowing up.
Yeah.
Because it's like, yeah, most of the reactions on the internet is like, basically, everybody's happy for this, but they don't know why.
They're happy because they want the big crossovers, like they want the big superheroes back in the MCU.
I would love to see Avengers versus X-Men.
Or Fantastic Four, a real good Fantastic Four movie.
But like,
I mean, like, you yourself have frequently argued that the best Fantastic Four movie has come from actually Disney with The Incredibles.
Incredibles is, still the best Fantastic Four movie.
Yeah.
Like, Incredibles 2, not so much.
I mean, I enjoyed Incredibles 2, but I guess
it's not that good, sir.
A bunch of my podcast co-hosts disagree with me. Like, I feel that Incredibles 1 is superior. One of them feels that Incredibles 2 is superior.
What?
And I don't disagree that Incredibles 2 is good. I just don't feel it's as good. But I guess that's beside the point.
Yeah, I know. It's like comparing House Party 1 to House Party 2.
Oh boy.
Now that's a throwback.
Man.
You remember Kid and Play?
Oh god. I guess before we kind of wrap up this Disney Fox conversation, like you were talking a bit about like toxic fandom, especially with Star Wars and everything else. I kind of just want to take a minute to tell like everyone to just really chill out. This is some make-believe pretend bullshit. You do not be sending people death threats or insulting them on the basis of race, gender or sexuality on social media, because it has nothing to do with their work. I think artists in particular have thick skin when it comes to criticism.
Are we talking about, what's that poor Asian actress who was like,
Kelly Marie Tran?
She quit like social media because of all these assholes, right?
Specifically, it's the alt-right trolls who were criticizing her because of her race, not because of her work. She was okay. She was very okay with people disliking her character, how it was written, how her performance was.
So here's a very blanket statement.
Yeah.
Those fuckers aren't Star Wars fans.
I do agree. Or sci-fi fans in general.
Yeah. You know, you're not a Star Wars fan because the thing is, like, I'm a Star Wars fan. I forgive the Phantom Menace. I'm fine with it.
There you go.
I accept it. You know what? Those Ewoks movies, sure. Caravan of Courage was amazing.
I remember
when I was a kid.
I remember back in the day, right? Like my dad was telling me about how like Michael Keaton got death threats when he was casted as Batman.
Yeah, he was.
Or
because everybody was like saying, "Mr. Mom as Batman? No!"
Or the insane internet message board reaction to Heath Ledger's casting as the Joker was similarly like that lah. But the main difference between back then and now is that the trolls or the most hateful contingent or the most virulent contingent, which is a small minority of the fandom, by the way.
But they get blown up to unnecessary proportions, yeah.
And also they have direct access to their targets at the moment, because imagine waking up day after day to thousands upon thousands or thousands of ad messages talking about your sexuality, how you look, that your race isn't.
I don't have enough time in the day to mute everybody.
that is.
But
true.
I would love the attention.
Yeah.
Please.
I mean,
Last King Podcast on Twitter. Send me all the hate, all the racism.
As long as you click.
Please.
Yeah. I mean, James Gunn is a recent victim of, I guess, Twitter trolling as well from the alt-right.
I guess so.
The recent casting of Ruby Rose as Batwoman, don't get me wrong, I do not like that casting. I think Ruby Rose is a bad actress. But the reaction that she...
You know what? I would prefer Ruby Rose as Batwoman to Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. Wait, Batgirl or Batwoman?
Batwoman.
Batwoman.
On the CW, yeah. Well, anyways, the
Will there be lesbian scenes?
No, she's playing Kate Kane, who is a particularly lesbian character lah.
Wait, that's the lesbian Batwoman?
Yeah, that's the
I'm
lesbian.
sorry, here's my Batman fan card, sir. I can't remember which one was the sexy would go down Catwoman one.
That was the previous one. Kate Kane is the latest.
Am I thinking of Huntress?
I think you're thinking of Huntress.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The latest incarnation of Batwoman is as written by Gil Simone, famously lesbian lah.
Famously lesbian. Yes.
That's pretty much the media. I guess.
I can imagine the comic panel of like Starfire leaving the room with a giggle.
Oh boy. Yes.
Because when you go down on Starfire, you go down in flames, sir.
So specifically Ruby Rose, I was expecting the backlash for her to be from the alt-right. Because, you know, lesbians and stuff. But it turns out the backlash was from the LGBT community, because apparently some lesbians think that she's not lesbian enough because she identifies as bisexual and quote-unquote hasn't done enough for the cause to take such a prominent lesbian role.
So here's another...
Which I think is bullshit lah.
Here's another blanket statement.
Yeah.
All those lesbians aren't Batwoman or Batgirl fans. So shut up.
No, they're interested in their cause lah, which I mean...
Which is nothing to do with the character or the creativity or like what the story is all about. Because it's like... is Batwoman good because she's a lesbian or because she kicks ass and fights crime?
I suppose to some Batwoman fans like me in particular, for Kate Kane lah, it's a bit of both lah, because she represents an underrepresented portion that would like to see versions of themselves kicking ass lah. And I don't want to like take that away from them, but at the same time that's not all that defines her.
How did you react to North Star? The first openly gay superhero.
I thought it was
way back in the 90s.
I thought it was like a good move. It was just poorly written, especially because in the 90s
everything was poorly written in the 90s.
Yeah.
Unless you're Alan Moore or Grant Morrison.
Yeah, unpopular opinion, I actually did not. I don't like stuff like Spawn and like Frank Miller stuff in the 80s.
You didn't like the McFarlane stuff?
I really don't like McFarlane stuff. I think he's an incredible artist.
No, like here's the thing. Like McFarlane to me is the
quintessential 90s guy?
No. Not he's not the quintessential 90s guy. The quintessential 90s guy is the guy who created Deadpool.
Rob Liefeld.
Exactly. Yeah. Rob Liefeld with the pouches, and the leather jackets, and he can't draw feet.
Yeah.
All those jokes which appeared in Deadpool 2. Well done, writer.
Yeah, very specific jokes. I love
but like, there you go. Like, Spawn is basically, here's a character that was designed by the fans. Like, okay, hey fans, what do you want? You want this? You want that? Okay, here we go.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh hey, it's fans are not that imaginative. We need imaginative people to come up with things.
Yeah, which actually kind of goes back to the Disney point and to this current like toxic fandom point as well. Because I mean, you mentioned Starfire. The Titans shadow was terrible, by the way. But
what?
The Titans for the DC streaming service, the new TV show based on Teen Titans.
I know. I just want you to really articulate that because like.
It's terrible. I didn't like it. The fuck Batman line was too try hard. It was very 90s. But the reaction to the casting of Starfire was quite terrible. The fact that people are saying that she's not black enough or she's the wrong shade of black.
But she's orange most of the time.
It makes no sense. It makes no sense.
Starfire isn't a black girl. She's an alien from space.
Toxic fandom is just ridiculous. Do you hear about what happened with Voltron, the Legendary Defender, last year?
No, what happened?
Voltron, I mean...
Not Asian enough.
No, this is even worse. If you didn't...
Not lion enough?
If you don't know, Voltron has a series on Netflix right now, which is really good and you should check it out.
Yeah, Mr. Toffee of the Last King podcast as well keeps telling me to watch it, and like, I will. I've seen season 1, I liked it a lot.
It's really... It gets a lot better.
But I'm a bit of a purist, because I'm more King of Beast Go Lion.
Oh, there you go.
I'm one of those guys, because hey, if you watch the original Voltron... Very violent and a couple of boobies here and there.
Yes, exactly. It's fairly adult, the new one as well. But the point that I wanted to drive home was last year, a particular fan went on a studio tour of the studio mirror. You know,
really, to see people draw Voltron.
there was apparently a gathering of super fans. They brought them on the tour.
Oh, that's nice of them.
This one particular fan took photos of storyboards and unreleased drawings and storylines and stuff like that.
Who let him in?
For the next 2 seasons. And posted it on Tumblr, and then threatened that if he didn't get a storyline that he wanted on air, he would post more spoilers of storyboards. And that's the kind of toxic fandom I'm talking about. That's fucked up.
Yeah,
you're playing with this entire studio's livelihood.
No, not just that, because like somebody actually had to go spend the time to create and write the story, and then like to chop it down to like its essential bits, and to really sculpt something that is true not only to his vision but also to fit within the format. And then you do this, and then like, okay, now we need to rewrite everything because this asshole.
And this guy's gripe was specifically over a ship. He wanted one character to be in a relationship with another character. That was his entire...
Fuck the shippers.
That was his
Fuck
entire...
those guys. Oh, stop.
That was... Yeah, it's fucked up, man.
All you guys... DeviantArt was invented for a reason.
Right.
Go get your rocks off there.
Go write your fanfic. Go draw your weird erotica or whatever.
Yeah, go for it. I mean, like, I do enjoy fan service.
Sure.
To an extent.
Once in a while.
If
I want fan service, I go to fanfiction. I read fanfiction.
I read fanfiction too.
Yeah.
With one hand. You only need one hand to scroll. Anyway. But it's like, oh yes, Harry Potter. What? With Dumbledore? In the nose? He has no nose. Anyway.
The nose. Oh Jesus.
The nose. Okay, let's reel it all back in. So, I mean, okay, my general consensus when it comes to Disney buying over Fox and all these problems that are bubbling up, that is very hard for us to contain within a segment.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
We should do a second part where I come back and be a little bit more articulate, a little bit, or or you can listen to the Last King podcast where I'll just do this as an entire episode.
We'll definitely do that, and this is probably a topic that we'll touch upon more as Disney continues to flex its muscle and the first Fox properties go over.
As of this recording, the ink is it dry yet?
The ink is dry. The shareholders have agreed. It's set
in stone. It's gonna happen.
The Wall Street Journal actually recently reported basically the Fox lot, a lot of employees are moving out, stuff like that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So it is a sea change in the movie industry, and we're gonna talk about it more as it goes along, because there will be more issues popping up. That probably wraps it up for the segment. We'll talk more in future installments. I may show up on The Last King, or
of course you'll show up on The Last King.
Or The Last King may show up here once again.
Of course we'll show up on Genre Equality. Still probably the best podcast name I've ever heard.
Thank you.
Did you come up with it all by yourself?
I did, actually.
Oh, really?
That was my idea. I built this whole podcast based on that one name. Now I'm throwing it back to myself. We'll catch you guys next time. And thanks, Zero, for that wonderful discussion with Shafique. Throwing it back to myself, as always. So that was our tie-in issue for the month. We were talking about the Disney-Fox deal. Obviously, it was a very contentious issue. And of course, toxic fandom, which we kind of talk about nearly every month. It's omnipresent in...
every month is some toxic fandom from like either Star Wars fans or from Marvel fans.
Or in this case, Ruby Rose and stuff like that, Kelly Marie Tran. So much rubbish out there. But anyways, we'll be moving on to, I guess, better things?
Kind of.
Myself and Isa have not caught the third season of Preacher.
Yeah, this will be fast.
We left off on the second season of Preacher, which I thought was a mixed bag. A lot of good stuff, a lot of bad stuff as well. Although Hardy has kept up with it. How is the third season of Preacher going right now?
It's a mixed bag also.
It's a mixed bag. It recently ended right on HBO?
Yes. No, AMC.
AMC, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, the finale was... Okay, you know how like the Cloak and Dagger had a very shitty finale?
Yeah.
Yeah, this had a really good finale.
Ooh.
Yeah. So, what happened was not what happened. What happened throughout this season was Jesse going back to
the Langels.
Yeah, and going through that whole family history thing, and that was quite fun to see, like.
One of my favorite arcs from the comics.
Exactly, and it kind of kept true to the comics to an extent. Maybe like 60% of the comic stuff was still there. Obviously, they had to change some things. Her star was back, and usual. I really like that character. But what was most enjoyable for me was Hitler and S-Face storyline.
Right.
Yeah. And
Ars-Face.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Ars-Face. Correct. And their whole entire arc lah. Them escaping from hell and all that stuff. Hiding among the people. Hitler calling the neo-Nazis to help him out.
Yeah.
That sort of thing lah. And Hitler finally, spoiler alert, becoming the ruler of hell lah.
What happened to the original devil?
I can't remember now.
Did he retire? Like in the comics?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, he basically did lah.
Okay.
But what was the problem was, I think the main character,
Jesse Custer, has always been the weakest part of Preacher.
Again,
the Preacher.
The Preacher. Because Tulip is great, right?
Cassidy is a frequent highlight whenever he does get a spotlight.
Yeah, Cassidy's storyline, with the whole Order of the Blood thing. Can't remember what they call it so now. That whole storyline, his whole journey into trying to save Tulip and all that stuff. Yeah, was great. Him trying to find himself was great too. But the main character kind of just Dominic Cooper. Yeah, I still think that he is the weak link in this cast lah.
Yeah, I just think also that sometimes he just has trouble speaking because of his he's
British lah.
He's UK, so his accent is very thick, and his American accent or Southern accent is a bit suspect.
Yeah, it's strange because if you like a show like True Blood,
sure,
and like Bill, and how Bill, he's also, I think, British, right, the actor.
Yeah, or look at Idris Elba in The Wire.
That kind of thing.
Or McNulty in The Wire.
Yeah. So he's not at that caliber of UK actor.
Sure. Yeah.
But apart from that, I'm still looking forward to season 4 to see where it goes from here how Jesse actually finally gets back his powers. I mean, he got back his powers at the end of the season. I like the idea of incorporating, from season 2 to 3, they continue the storyline about selling of soul fragments and all that stuff.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, so I that kind of world building, I'm still enjoying it.
Intrigued in, yeah. So there's no return of Saint of Killers this season?
There is.
Okay.
He...
Last scene in season 2 was in hell?
Yeah. He found out that God actually was the one that God ordered that his daughter be ripped apart lah. Yeah, and all that. So he's on a whole other trail. He has a side story. There wasn't much of him this season.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'm hoping that they give him more of a spotlight next season lah.
Okay.
Yeah, and his vengeful path lah to killing God, I guess. Yeah. Tulip had a really cool storyline, her being dead, then her being resurrected and being linked to Angeline, I can't remember her name also. The grandmother lah. And how when she was trying to kill the grandmother, then she also died at the same time because they're linked and all that stuff.
Right.
And Jesse finally, removing that link lah.
Sure.
Yeah, that kind of thing. So Tulip's storyline, quite intriguing. I'm quite excited to see what happens next season. But overall, it's a very mixed bag lah.
How would you rate it?
6.5 out of 10.
Ooh.
Yeah. Final space, it's fun at times, but it can get draggy.
Yeah. I'm personally just gonna take my time, catch up. I will be jumping back in season 4 whenever we do review it for genre equality.
Yeah.
But I'm just gonna take my time with it. And for now, I'm gonna jump into a segment that I call Quick Hits, where I talk about the various titles that I've seen that my other 2 full-time working co-hosts didn't have time to watch. Or maybe
watch here and there.
And also because big part of my job, especially as the film and TV editor of Potwire, is just running through a ton of stuff.
Yeah.
Some of it is garbage, some of it is good.
Your job, man.
It's my job. I'm gonna let you know what is worth watching and what is not.
Yeah.
The first thing I'm gonna be talking about is a little show called Marvel Rising Initiation. This new animated web series kicks off Marvel's more kid-friendly banner at Marvel HQ, and I think it does so in a very spectacular fashion.
Okay.
This is kind of a prequel, sort of a prologue, so to speak, leading up to a movie called Secret Warriors, which will be out later this year, a 90-minute movie.
Okay.
So this is a little 6-episode primer, and each episode is only about 2-3 minutes.
Okay.
So it's a very quick binge. So as I mentioned, it's serving as a prequel to the Secret Warriors movie. It follows Spider-Gwen, who's on the run for a crime she didn't commit.
I love
and she's been chased by her father, Captain Stacy. On her tail are heroes like Ms. Marvel, Kamala Khan, for those of you who don't know, not Captain Marvel, Kamala Khan.
Marvel
Girl. Patriot, Quake, who is voiced by Chloe Bennett.
Chloe Bennett,
well.
Oh, nice.
And Squirrel Girl, who's also voiced by Milana Weintraub, who will play her in the live action series coming soon.
Very nice.
So with only 6 4-minute episodes, this is a very fun, cute, breezy adaptation of a popular Earth 65 storyline, I think. Featuring Marvel's next generation of heroes. I think this is easily the most delightful and fun quick hits segment that I have on this particular month. So this is a nice, highly recommended 8 out of 10. You can get through this within 20 minutes.
Then I'll do it after this.
It has a bunch of cool characters. The animation is great. So I'm really looking forward to Secret Warriors coming out later this year, which we will definitely review.
I mean it's interesting because these comic characters, these are the fan favorite comic characters.
At least for the young adult or the children.
Yeah, from Marvel Girl to Squirrel Girl to
Spider-Gwen, Quake and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So this is very targeted towards, I'm guessing, age groups of between 5 to 14.
Yeah.
And very heavily skewed towards female viewers, which is quite rare, I guess.
Which is good also.
Yeah. Considering the majority of the cast is female-centric.
I don't mind.
Yeah. The next thing I'll be talking about is a young adult movie called The Darkest Minds that came out to cinemas just a few weeks ago. It's still playing right now if you do want to catch it.
How is it?
The Darkest Minds does little to differentiate itself from a crowded field of dystopian YA adaptations, you know what I mean? You can practically take off every overused stroke in this formulaic hodgepodge of second-hand plot points. If you want the Maze Runner meets Brett Ratner's X-Men meets the Maze Runner, this is for you. If that's your thing. If your IQ is above double digits, I suggest you watching The Hunger Games instead. So this is a 3 out of 10.
Wow.
Yeah.
You guys not watching this?
No.
What else?
Next up is a prequel to the Purge franchise called The First Purge.
Okay. I got some thoughts on this. Go ahead.
Oh, you've seen it as well?
I've seen something. Well, yes, I have.
Okay. You have seen something.
No, it's how I saw it.
That does not bode well.
That should be the title of Journey Quality 9. We've seen something. Tune in to listen to us talk about it. As its title implies, this refers to the first ever Purge and takes us back to the beginning of the Purge tradition and the politics behind the institution. Director Gerard McMurray, I think, does a commendable job in trying to revitalize this one-trick series. And this is indeed, I think, the best or one of the best entries in this franchise.
Wow, okay.
It's tense, it's gory, it's bloody, and as a special bonus, it does the Handmaid's Tale trick where it makes you feel like the terror present in the cinema or what you're watching isn't too far off.
Yes.
Unfortunately, its textual reach exceeds its grasp, and the film falters when it tries to bring social commentary into the mix, as sharp as the social commentary is, because the writing is simply not smart enough.
It is not.
To me, it's a 5 out of 10.
Same. I agree with you.
Yeah.
The only thing I wanted to say was that, what you said, it's surprisingly, like, you feel like as you're watching it, like, this can happen. Yeah, we're not too far off this thing, you know?
Yeah.
And also that, how organized the purges were. Even though, like, this is a first purge.
Yeah.
How a lot more organized they were in the first purge rather than the later purges.
Yeah.
So that was the only, like, incongruency I saw,
I guess.
You know, like, why suddenly they all have their groups and they all have... Yeah, but it was a fun little... I didn't... okay, honestly, I didn't watch it in the movies.
Okay.
Yeah, I caught it somewhere else. But anyway, yes, and I was surprisingly impressed by it. Yeah, because I watched all the Purge movies.
All the Purge movies, yeah. I think this is the best.
This is the best Purge movie.
But that being said, the best of the Purge movies is 5 out of 10.
5 out of 10.
For me.
Yeah. Same.
Yeah, so the Purge franchise isn't something that is known for quality.
Yeah.
There is a Purge TV series coming soon, so...
which I'm quite interested to watch, actually.
I'll definitely be doing it for quick hits. If you guys are going to be watching, you're free to jump in.
Yeah.
But I don't have high hopes, but...
Neither do I.
We'll see how it goes, lah. The next up, I'll be talking about a movie called The Meg, which I sadly watched without you guys.
Yeah, what the hell? That was supposed to be something we all watch.
You guys have such busy lives.
I know that's true, but tell us, how did
I
it go?
go watch it like fucking...
Did Jason Statham punch the Meg?
No, he did not punch Meg. For a movie about Jason Statham fighting a prehistoric giant shark, right? The Meg really isn't as fun as it should be. When making a man with a shark movie, you can either go in two very polar opposite spectrums. You can do it either Jaws, or you can do it either Sharknado.
Yeah.
So now, Jaws, right, isn't just the greatest shark movie ever made.
It's a horror movie.
It's one of the greatest horror movies I've ever made, and arguably one of the greatest films ever made.
Yeah.
True.
That's an extremely high bar. So I would advise every other shark movie to go to Sharknado or Deep Blue Sea Road.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately for the Meg, right, it tries to do both to its own detriment. It can't be half serious and half campy.
Oh man.
Ultimately, the Meg sets audiences up for a good old-fashioned B-creature movie, but it lacks the genre thrills and tries to take itself too seriously. And the bite is just too cheesy to make it worth diving in.
Okay.
Because I feel that, it just can't be half serious.
Yeah.
Half of the movie really takes itself seriously, and that it should just be full campy.
Yeah.
Sharknado 6, where they fucking time travel and meet Hitler and shit like that.
Yeah. I mean, it should be something like Rampage,
Yeah.
Where just fun monsters just bashing things up.
This is a 4 out of 10 for me.
4 out of 10, okay.
Jason Statham initially said that the original script was much campier and much grittier.
Aww.
It was supposed to be more like Piranha than what it ended up to be. So because they wanted a PG-13 release, wider release, so they toned it down. I think that is the issue.
That's the mistake.
That is the mistake. The next one I'll be talking about is a local horror movie called 2359 The Haunting Hour.
This is the sequel?
Yes, it's a sequel to a 2011 movie called 2359, which I had no idea existed.
Neither did I.
Anyway, I only learned about it in the cinema. I was like, oh shit, this is a sequel. Do I need to catch up? Apparently not. It's an anthology.
Okay.
The Haunting Hour is a Singaporean horror comedy anthology about a national serviceman who posts horror stories on his blog. The tales are interesting, but the storytelling is frightfully boring. It's run-of-the-mill, don't waste your time. This one, it's 0.5 out of 10.
0.5? Damn, son!
The lowest.
Yeah, that's probably the lowest.
That bad.
Okay.
I wanted to write a 1 out of 10, but
is it better than A Boys to Men?
No.
Oh, okay, then that's bad.
Yeah.
Alright. What's next?
Up next is the second last thing I have on Quick Hits. It is the return of a show that we kind of liked last year called Mr. Mercedes. It's been a great few years for Stephen King adaptation with, It, Gerald's Game, and currently Castle Rock, kind of dominating genre headlines in TV and film. One that went by unnoticed and slightly underrated last year was this hidden show called Mr. Mercedes on the Audience Network, produced by David E. Kelly of, The Practice, Boston Legal, Alec McBeal, Big Little Lies, stuff like that. It was a show that I liked quite a bit because it was a prestige class pulp murder mystery that was chilling, emotionally haunting, and quite gruesome. It kind of falters in the last few episodes, but I think it was overall a decent to good show.
Okay.
Now in its second season, the show jumps from hardboiled detective drama into full-on fantastical sci-fi. Based on the third book of the Mr. Mercedes novels, the second season sees comatose serial killer Brady Hartsfield develop psychic powers after being experimented upon by shady neurologists.
Wait, what?
Yeah, so there's this weird company, a Roxxon-esque company that wants to develop some brain chemicals or whatever, injects him with it, and then he develops ESP.
So this show became
sci-fi lah. But honestly, right, upon reading, I didn't read the third book but after reading the Wikipedia of the third book, it seems fairly faithful.
Okay.
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess I'm catching this.
Yeah, it's a huge tonal shift.
Yeah.
The result of the first few episodes is that there's a lot of setup and a bit tedious lah. The vibe and the status quo is not quite compelling enough for me to keep going into season 2. Although I do appreciate how different it is lah, and how much it's trying to grow and trying to be a different show. The cast and its acting, especially Brendan Gleeson's, remains top notch. But setup for its new status quo is too shaky and too ludicrous for me to continue. Because it's a huge jump, you see, from such a gritty detective drama into this.
The hardboiled detective to suddenly this sci-fi.
Yeah. Admittedly, this rating is only based on the first 2 episodes.
Okay.
But I won't be continuing, so that's the only barometer I have. So this is a 6 out of 10.
Not too bad.
It's okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
It's actually okay.
Alright.
The last thing I will talk about is a show. Well, it's a new show by Matt Groening, famously the creator of The Simpsons, Futurama. His new show stars A.B. Jacobson, from Broad City, obviously. Yeah. And actually has a really, really stellar voice cast.
It does. It does. She does. It does.
It's called Disenchantment.
Yes.
It's currently out on Netflix.
There's a lot of hype going into this.
It's a lot of... Matt Groening.
Yeah, exactly.
A legend of the field. There will not be this modern crop of... This current golden age of animation without Matt Groening.
Yeah. True.
That being said, right, what do you guys think of the show?
And that's the issue there.
Yeah.
Right? So Matt Groening might have been the guy that started it all, right, with Futurama and The Simpsons, and then you have everybody. We have BoJack Horseman now. We have Rick and Morty. We have Steven's Universe and a bunch of other things, right? And suddenly Matt Groening's work kind of pales in comparison.
Feels dated, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the sad thing, lah. I mean, the animation style is cute. It's very Matt Groening-like, right?
It can be more polished.
Yes, correct. I mean, with new technology and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like the scenery was very beautiful, you know, the world building, the world setting and all that was nice to look at. But there was something just doesn't sit well for me with this series.
Did both of you finish the series?
I finished the 3rd episode.
Fourth or fifth.
And then I didn't continue.
Okay, so I was stuck at the airport with nothing else to watch, no Wi-Fi, and I just so happened to have the entire series.
So you went to watch it
downloaded on my Netflix, right? So I kind of like granted my way through that. I definitely agree with you. There were points where I was experiencing that, especially the background renderings,
right?
Which seems to be like a common theme. Excellent stuff.
Right. Yeah.
It's very interesting to see a group of animators that Groening always works with kind of up their game thanks to the technology that's available right now. And those things were very, very beautiful. The world was very beautifully rendered. But I can safely say that I do not remember laughing at anything for the entire series.
I didn't laugh also.
I felt that it was a very pedestrian attempt at doing a new animated show. There is nothing about it that's outrightly bad, you see.
Yeah.
But there's nothing about it that's good either.
It's very meh.
It's very run-of-the-mill.
And then the problem is, okay, like how we enjoyed Final Space is because we came in with no hype.
Yeah.
We just watched it and loved it. This came in with so much hype.
Yeah, and it makes it even worse, right? With all the hype that's on the. There's a lot of baggage, right, for a Matt Groening show.
It's unavoidable.
Unavoidable.
Matt Groening.
So I did find a lot of things very comforting. The animation style is familiar, right? The character archetypes are familiar, and all these things are something that you've either seen in The Simpsons or Futurama. Even the way that the jokes play out and even the overarching storylines are all things that we've seen before, but with a fantasy setting, right? So given all those things, even if he were to deliver the exact same beats, right? But in a different context, I thought it would have worked perfectly fine, but it doesn't. And despite the fact that the last few episodes do rescue the storyline a bit, emotionally, right, with a fair bit of there's a fair bit of payoff, right? But it takes way too long to get to that point, right? And you can see first 3 episodes, like the animation style, especially for the foreground characters, are very, very sloppy. It gets better over time. And in fact, the last few episodes, the animation is quite spectacular. Right? But in the same way, the story starts sloppy. And it gets better as it goes along, but it's too little too late. In my opinion. Will I watch a season 2? I might give it a shot. But it's nothing more than a 5 out of 10 for me.
I mean, do you think we should continue?
The way that it ended did allow... I mean, Abby is great. As a voice actress, for the character that she's playing, it's great. I do love Princess Bean as a character. I do feel that it's something new and something quite novel in terms of the cast of Disney princesses that we have as a princess character, right? And she tries her best with what is quite honestly a very mediocre script. But where it ends up, I am curious to see where her character goes next. But I'm not sure if that's enough to kind of make me go through the whole of the second season. We really have to see. So I might catch 1 or 2 episodes when
especially with so much going on right now in streaming and movies
I
and
agree.
everything.
Again, if I wasn't stuck at the airport, I don't think I would have made it.
Based on the 4 episodes you've seen, what was your rating?
About 5 lah. I mean,
5's all around. I guess.
If there was no hype to it, maybe a bit more, 6 or 7. Not 6 lah, 6 the max lah. But it's just I expected a lot more, and maybe it's my fault lah. Because Matt Groening is such a fucking legend, right?
Of course.
So
The thing is, right, it isn't Matt Groening's humor that is dated. It's that like it's just this is a bad work.
Yeah.
Because if you rewatch the first 12 seasons of The Simpsons or you rewatch Futurama, it still holds up.
Yeah, it does.
It almost still feels cutting edge actually because it's just very timeless comedy lah. There is nothing that resonant about this particular work.
I agree.
Yeah.
And that's why I think maybe you should give it a miss and watch Final Space instead.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, and the last segment that I have this month is where I recommend reading material.
Yay!
So this month's pull list is I think 3 of the best things I've ever recommended on any pull list.
What do we have?
We have 2 comic books. Well, 1 comic book, 1 graphic novel, and 1 actual book because I do read prose.
Okay. Okay, just
I like people then because I recommend a lot of comic books and people are like, do you read words? Yes. I don't just look at the pictures and be like, oh, nice.
Okay, just a quick one, right?
Yeah.
What's the difference between a comic book and a graphic novel?
I think to me a graphic novel is a singular volume. It's just basically 1 story wrapped up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I it has to do with serialization, I think.
Yeah, a comic book series.
It's a format.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that. I just wanted to ask.
To me, it's just the difference between a mini series and an ongoing
series. Okay, got it.
Yeah. But otherwise, it's just like words with pictures.
Alright.
Yeah.
Noted.
Noted, yeah.
Okay, so what are the 3 things that you're recommending?
The first one, since it recently won the Eisner Award and the Hugo Award for Best Ongoing Comic Series, I'm gonna recommend Marjorie Liu's Monstress. I'm sorry.
Nicely done.
Yeah, Monstress is an epic kind of fantasy. As I said, expertly written by Marjorie Liu and drawn by Sana Takeda, and it's published by Image Comics. And outside of Saga, I really feel that Monstress is like the greatest fantasy comic of the last decade.
Okay.
The art is gorgeous. It's manga inspired. It's set in this like magical post-apocalyptic matriarchal Asia. It's massively dense and gloriously violent. It's the kind of complex narrative about race, feminism, war, slavery that would make George R.R. Martin envious lah.
Yeah.
Because Monstress continues to meet its deadlines and George R.R. Martin doesn't. Despite it being of similar scope and scale.
Yeah.
This kind of gargantuan world building is really, really very rare in comics, which is what makes it special. But Monstress is unique in many other ways as well, not least of which that there are no men or white characters. So the usual archetypes of the white male narrative is totally subverted. Not even subverted, it's not there.
It's not there, it's non-existent.
Yeah, so it allows all the feelings or the range of emotions to be typically expressed by a man to just be given to just a bunch of women.
Okay.
Because it is matriarchal Asia.
Nice.
I mean, think about all the feminist narratives that we've seen in comic books. Like, say for example, Why the Last Man. The world dominated by women. It's still only told through the perspective of a man.
Yeah.
So this is very rare and very unique and very well written. The series itself uses the fantasy genre to explore real world issues in new and fascinating ways.
Okay.
So it's like Game of Thrones, but more tasteful when it comes to the social issues at hand.
Okay.
Because Game of Thrones very rapey.
Yeah.
And amongst other things. So this is actually a 10 out of 10 for me.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll definitely get it then.
Definitely, yeah. For this episode, like Monstress and Counterpart are the 2 things that I would
highly recommend.
Highly recommend.
What else?
Next one is a little graphic novel called Sabrina. Not Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
That was where I was going.
Or The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, which will be turned into a Netflix TV show, by the way.
I'm actually quite looking forward to that. We'll see how that goes.
But this is a graphic novel called Sabrina by a writer called Nick Drenasso.
Okay.
Drenaso if you want to Google that. Nick Drenasso made literary history when his graphic novel Sabrina became the first ever comic to be nominated for the Man Booker Prize. Just this year. And after reading it, right, and I only picked it up because I saw the Man Booker Prize long list. I'm like, what the fuck, there's a comic book here? Since when?
Yeah.
Apparently, since now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that Sabrina fully deserves its accolades.
Okay.
Sabrina is a book with no easy description and it's probably best left undescribed for those who haven't read it yet. But if you require a primer, let me try lah.
Try.
Sabrina follows a group of unremarkable Americans in mundane environments that go through sudden trauma and are sucked into the horror of the contemporary internet rumor cycle. Sabrina's story develops from like uncertain, unpredictable emotions of everyday experiences into like the micro paranoia of online clickbait. It's kind of this chilling analysis of the nature of trust and truth and the erosion of both in the age of the internet. Especially in the age of Trump, actually. I have to say.
Okay.
The deliberate and controlled narrative is very, very unnerving, and the visuals make it downright terrifying. Although what they're dealing with, there's no monsters, there's no supernatural threats or anything, but it's just very real world terror. That isn't even like The Handmaid's Tale, which is slightly further off. This is stuff that's happening now and can happen to you. The characters are drawn with very simple cartoonish lines, but Drenaso is so deft at making or building seemingly simple things into something so fully realized and very, very intimate that I think that Sabrina is one of the best graphic novels I've read this year. It's a 9 out of 10 for me.
Wow.
Yeah.
What's the last thing?
The last thing is something that I've spent maybe the last 5 months slowly muddling my way through, because they are a series of books that are very, very thick and very, very highly recommended and acclaimed, but I haven't read them.
What is it?
It is the Broken Earth Trilogy by N.K. Jemisin.
Oh,
okay.
Yes.
So, in 2016, N.K. Jemisin became the first African-American woman to win Best Science Fiction Novel for the 5th season, the first book of this trilogy. In 2017, at the Hugo Awards, I'm sorry. In 2017, she won again for its sequel entitled The Obelisk Disc.
Okay.
And in 2018, she won for the 3rd year in a row, mind you.
Wow.
Which is a record. No one's ever done this before. And I'm not talking about an African-American or a woman. I'm talking about any author ever to win 3 years in a row for the three installments of the same book, series.
Okay.
That's quite crazy.
That's crazy. The third book is called The Stone Sky.
Okay.
So I was like, fuck, all these accolades, I should probably check it out.
Read this,
right? Yeah, it winning 3 years in a row, it has to be good, right?
Yeah. Was it good?
Yeah, it is.
Damn, son.
Yeah. Collectively, all 3 books are called the Broken Earth Trilogy, as I mentioned, and I think it's safe to say that no other modern sci-fi series has ever been this acclaimed, and no other sci-fi author has been so
highly praised
or rewarded or received as much critical adulation, at least amongst mainstream literary establishment.
Yeah.
I mean, it's more nerds and geeks getting into this kind of places now.
Correct. Yeah. I came into this podcast with the intention of only reviewing the latest book, because that's what won this year, The Stone Sky. But since it's a trilogy, I think it's prudent that you all go read this like me, because it's amazing. Set in a single supercontinent referred to as the Stillness by its inhabitants, the continent is constantly wrecked by geological cataclysms. And every few hundred years, an event is severe enough to touch off a global volcanic winter. Winter is coming.
Okay.
Referred to as the 5th season.
Okay.
Some characters referred to as Orogines, I'm not sure how to really pronounce that. Orogenes, Orogines.
Yeah, that's
have
right.
the ability to manipulate geological energies on a large scale, as well as magic on a smaller scale. They are a persecuted and feared minority, although it's largely due to their efforts that humanity has survived at all throughout the seasons. Its vivid characters, stoutly constructed plot, and outstanding world building come together for an impressive and timely story of abused and grieving survivors fighting to fix themselves and save the remnants of their shattered home. Now, traditional fantasy and sci-fi premises always try to explain that the world is worth saving, right?
Yeah.
The Broken Earth Trilogy series outright twists and rejects that notion. It shows a world where cataclysm and upheaval is the norm, and the Stone Sky especially interrogates what right do worlds built on oppression and genocide have to exist, in a way that Battlestar Galactica did.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, I really like that. It's an 8.5 out of 10 for me. The first book is like a 10 out of 10.
Okay.
Second book is like a 9 out of 10.
Okay.
The third book slightly worse, is an 8.5 out of 10.
Okay.
But I mean,
So
still
averages.
all very highly rated.
Yeah.
So, all 3 well-deserved winners?
All 3 well-deserved winners, for sure. Yeah. The Hugo Awards, this year, I do have to shout out that every single major award was won by a female author, which has never been done before.
Wait, what?
Never has happened. Yeah. Never
Marjorie
happened.
Liu won for the comics. Basically, N.K. Jemisin swept everything. So female authors took home short story, long story, novels, novelettes, comic books, graphic novels,
That's
TV
awesome.
series.
Yeah.
Yeah, so unusual, and hopefully this trend continues. This has been it for this month's Genre Equality.
That was fun, right?
This was really fun. Next month is a heavy one. Although, a flip of this month, because it's heavy on movies. Which means less time investment for us.
Yay!
But there are a lot of movies to watch.
Yeah, but that's
then,
like one time,
This one time, it's not like 13 hours.
Yes.
Next month we'll be covering Teen Titans Go to the Movies.
Yes! I
which
can't
looks like a better version of Deadpool 2.
Yeah.
We'll be talking about the return of BoJack Horseman.
Yes.
Which I think is the most anticipated of all of this.
It is.
We'll be talking about a cute, sweet little anime called Mirai. We'll be watching this coming week. We'll be talking about a balls out, wild horror movie called Mandy, starring a crazy Nicolas Cage fighting a demon biker from space.
Yep.
That looks great. We'll be talking about a few other movies like Upgrade as well, Kin. And for quick hits, I'll touch upon The Predator, Iron Fist, Castle Rock, Misfits and Monsters, The Nun, and the final episode of Adventure Time, which I'm set to see go.
Yeah.
So that is the tentative rundown for next month.
It's a special episode.
Why is that?
Episode 10.
Okay, I thought 12 would be a special episode because our
10 because double digits, first double digit.
Oh yeah, being a monthly podcast.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because our hard hits is like at 87 or 88.
So it's gonna reach 100 soon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe genre equality 100 will be 100 months.
100 months.
That's a long time. Man.
It's a long.
That's 10 years, bro.
Let's no. What kind of math are you doing? 10 years.
10 years. No, less than 10 years. Sorry.
Bro.
My bad. My bad. But long time lah.
It'll be a while, so let's not cross that bridge yet.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that closer.
Yeah.
Till then, this has been Hitzer.
I'm Hardy.
I'm Isa.
We'll catch you on the 1st of every month. Catch you then.
Bye bye.